Okay, artists, we are going to make a clay bird today. So I want you to start with your ball of clay, and I want you to put a piece of burlap in front of you. And we are going to take our ball of clay and we are going to smush it into that burlap as best as we can because we want to add texture to our clay. And I want you to push it and push it into that burlap so that it's about as thin or thick as a cookie. This is too thick right now and it's thinner over here. I want it to try to be even. So I'm going to push it with the heel of my hand. So I'm pushing that clay into the burlap. I'm adding texture to the clay and I am flattening my clay so that it's about as thin as a cookie. So if I look at my clay, did a pretty good job there. It's a little thick right here, so I'm going to make sure that I try to make it as even as I can. Now that we have flattened our clay onto our burlap, we can slowly peel the burlap off to show the texture that we have created. And I want you to put that piece of clay on your mat so that the texture is facing up. And we want the shape of our clay to be like a circle. So right now, my clay looks pretty good. I can, take a little bit off on the sides here. If you need to cut your clay to make it look more like a circle, you take the sharp part of your tool and you just push really hard onto the canvas to try to help you make a circle. And we want to save that extra clay that we have just cut off from our circle because we can use that for some upcoming steps. So once you're happy with the circle shape that you have, I want you to take that stick tool and I want you to cut the top half of your circle off. We don't want to go directly in half. We just want to go a little bit taller than half. So if this is half, I'm going to go a little bit taller and I'm going to scrape that tool right across the top and I'm going to set that clay aside because I'm going to need it again later. And then I'm going to dip my finger into the water and I'm going to smooth the top edge where I cut that clay off so there's no jagged pieces. Now I want you to take all of that clay that you cut off, all of the extra clay, and I want you to ball it back up. So we're going to squeeze it back up and we need to make another ball of clay. We can carefully move our bird half out of the way if you need to, but we're going to ball it up and you can almost roll it in your hands a little bit if you need help making it into a ball, but it doesn't need to be perfect. We just need a ball of clay for the next step. Now we're going to repeat what we did at the beginning. We're going to take that piece of burlap and we're going to take our new ball of clay and we're going to push that ball of clay into that burlap. Push, 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 using the heel of your hand. Remember, you want to check to make sure it's not too thick, not too thin. You want it to be even, about as thin as a cookie. So I'm pushing that clay into the burlap to add more texture. When you have checked and you think that it's nice and even and ready, you can peel that burlap off to show your texture. And I want you to sit that clay circle in front of you with the texture facing up. Now that we have our second circle of clay, we want to take our tool and we want to use the sharp end again. And this time we're going to cut this circle right in half. And I want you to set your extra clay aside. This half right here, we are going to use as a wing for our bird. So we need to plan out where this wing is going to go. We can put it on an angle facing up or we can put it on an angle facing down. I like the way that it looks if it's up so that it looks like my bird is flying. Now, anytime you want to attach two pieces of clay, you have to do something special with a toothbrush, and it's called score and slip. So just like if you don't brush your teeth at home, your teeth might fall out. If you don't use your toothbrush on your clay might fall apart. So you're going to dip your toothbrush into the water, and I want you to scrub that wet toothbrush on the back of your wing, and then I want you to plan where you're going to put it And I want you to take your wet toothbrush and scrub, scrub, scrub right onto your clay where you're going to add your wing. And then I want you to put your wing right on top, and you want to push just a little bit to secure it. You don't want to squish it, but you want to push enough so that you know that your wing is going to be stuck to your bird's body. So now I want you to take your leftover clay wing and I want you to ball it up into another ball of clay. We are going to use this to make the beak and the eyes. Now I want you to take that ball of clay and I want you to break it in half one time. So we took one whole clay, we just divided it in half. I want you to set one half aside, and I want you to take that other ball of clay and divide that in half. So we have two smaller balls of clay and one larger extra ball of clay. And sit down your two smaller balls of clay. Now, for each eye that we make, we are going to take one ball of clay for each eye. So I'm going to take one ball of clay here, and I'm going to roll it into a ball, and I'm going to pinch it in half. So now I have two smaller balls of clay, and I want both of these to be rolled into a ball. So I'm going to roll one, and I'm going to roll two. Now, these two balls of clay are going to become the eyeballs. So these eyeballs need to go on the opposite side of your wing, and we want to flatten them just a little bit. So I'm taking my fingers and I'm pushing them down to flatten them. Remember, when we attach clay, we need to use our toothbrush. So we are going to scrub, 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 and put those eyeballs right where we want the eyes of our bird to be. The last step of our bird eyes is to take our stick and poke two little pupils inside.